Right.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay. So talking about a supervisor line, the way we were sort of trying to understand it is we're going to give you all of the options, and then you can sort of work out where you want to be. Now, where I want to start is the 1 month qualification and supervisor line. The reason why I believe supervisor lines work is for a few different reasons. One, you can get to the position where you can make 3 different levels of income straight away. And I think that's just smart. There's a fast and a slow way of doing everything. And, you know, why rip a Band-Aid off slowly? It just doesn't make any sense to me. The other thing is when you're qualifying in lines, yes, it actually mitigates everybody's risk. It reduces the financial investment if they want to do it that way. But also when you're actually qualifying in teams of people, it's more exciting. People are more likely to have retention in their organisations because, Ben, like when you're going to be doing a supervisor line, your business partners, you're going to feel a sense of responsibility to them to make sure they get trained and all that sort of stuff. Yep. They're going to feel that somebody's actually feels like they're responsible for them a little bit. Mm-hmm. So everybody in that line all of a sudden determines, hang on a second, I better learn a little bit about this whole thing we call Herbalife Nutrition, this part of the Limitless Success Institute, this optimized program component, which can set people free. So understanding that it's really the same as everything else. It's around testimonial of the business, and obviously I've got a very good one, but also testimonial around the products. And those two things, and understanding the compensation plan, how to actually get people into those positions easier, faster, and more effectively is really what's going to set you free and the people that, you know, you're bringing in free as well.
Awesome.
And then tapping them into the system. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. So structurally, if you guys have got pen and paper, that would probably be pretty handy.
Yep.
Just so you can write them down.
I just messaged him then.
Okay.
You just write this down, bro.
Yeah.
We've got to get that structure back, boys. We've always got to bring pens and paper when we're talking to Phil.
I know.
Yeah. It seems a little bit old school, but I believe once you start to write stuff down, you really start to own it for yourself.
No, I agree.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you start to own it for yourself, it really, you know, all of a sudden this level of confidence, you know, there's a little bit of apprehension when you're not sure about stuff around the business and the products.
Yep.
As soon as they're explained, especially with you guys in terms of the space and understanding personal development stuff that you guys have got, it really accelerates this. You know, like we're talking about Marvin. Marvin made that decision and activated that supervisor line in 3 days.
Yeah, wicked.
Yep.
You know, like, and he sought out the information, and that's why he sort of moved fast, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to give you a few different examples of how you can do a supervisor line. So I'll give you all of the examples on how to go to supervisor, but you can actually start to break this down as we go along. So I want you to draw one circle, and you can just write, so start on the left-hand side of the page.
Yep.
I might even do the same thing at the same time so you guys know what I'm doing. Always got pen and paper around the place.
You got yours, James?
So we're going to start sort of from this side, and that's just one example here. Yep. So we're going to do one, and then the next one along, you're going to do one circle with a circle underneath. So sort of like this.
Yep.
And then the next one's going to be 1, 2, 3. And then the next one's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to look something like that, all of the examples. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
Thank you.
Yep. The reason why I want to draw it up like this is obviously you can then have a bit of a menu about pretty much where you want to start and where people want to start with you in terms of the supervisor line thing. So in the singular circle, I want you to write 4,000.
Yep.
Okay, so up the top, you can just write me. Write your name or me. That's fine. Either one of that I'll accept.
I'm talking off Tim.
Yeah. So now I want you to start to put yourself in the picture a little bit. This next one, I want you to just write your names inside the circles. Okay. So Ben, you might actually have somebody in mind, you know, somebody who you want to actually go to first with this. So write your name in the first circle and write their name in the next circle. Tim, Spearsy, you might actually just want to do your next supervisor line. So you can start to work these names out, right?
Yep. Cool.
And so in all of these circles, these next examples, I want you to write your name up the top, Ben.
Yep, sure.
Okay. So in the example number 1, where we've got 4,000 volume points, that's you doing 4,000 volume points worth of business. The volume points is a value point. You know, when we're talking about before, you only get paid for value that you bring. So when we talk volume points, I talk value points. So 4,000 volume points is basically 24 people on an ultimate pack or 8 optimized sales.
Yep.
Okay, but that's you doing it all on your own.
Yep.
Now, option number 2 is a line of 2. So we're going to start talking lines. Now, structurally, when you come to lines of supervisors or world team members, you actually have to make sure that there's ID underneath ID. So in this example, it'll be Ben. What's your other person's name?
Sam. Sam. Yep.
Okay, so you got Ben and Sam in example number 2. But you've got you, and then you've got Sam straight, like directly underneath. All of the examples, doesn't matter how big the lines are, the record is actually 53 in a line. All like boom, 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 53 people. But it has to be ID underneath ID. It can't be ID out here, ID out somewhere else. It just doesn't work, all right? It's just important in terms of mechanics and structure that you understand that. Now, with yourself and Sam, I want you to put inside the circles 2,500 and 2,500.
Yep.
So basically now with a line of 2, I might do the writing too to make sure that we're all sort of energetically on the same page.
Cool, man.
So in that line of 2, both you and Sam both go supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
So that example now is that automatically now you've done 1,500 volume points less work.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And, you know, in order to get to the same position.
Sure.
Now, lines of 3, let's move over. So we've got Ben, we've got Sam, and then pick a name. Who's under Sam?
Jason.
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 Now I want you to put 2,000 in each one of those circles.
Yep.
So you can start to see now that you've now got to do, for a line of 3, you've got to do half the amount of work in order to get to the same degree or same ability to earn 3 levels of income. When we talk 3 levels of income, retail profit at the most, which means you make the most retail profit, 50% discount. Then you get wholesale profit. That means when, and we'll talk about this a little bit more detail later on, but when you've got a VIP customer, which register exactly the same way, when they place their own orders for themselves, the gap that's left in the discount actually travels to you in form of a wholesale check. So that means it already starts to become completely independent of you, and the personality, the way you make money changes in the best possible way. It's no longer wheelbarrow money where you have to pick it up and push it in order to make it work. It's money that comes in when people just want to feed themselves. Right?
Yeah, well.
And then you've got royalties. Royalties are paid for the work that happens underneath supervisors. So what you're creating now is exactly that, supervisors. In that example, 2,000, 2,000 and 2,000, each one of those 3 people, both Ben, Sam and Jason, all 3 of you go supervisor.
Yep.
Okay? So the next one over here, the line of 4, we've got Ben, we've got Sam, we've got Jason, and then who's number 4, do you think?
Jimmy, who's going there?
Dazza.
All right, Dazza.
Okay, Dazza. If there was a Shazza and a Dazza, that'd be awesome. But anyway, so now we've got to write in each one of the circles 1,750.
Yep.
So what are we noticing as we go along in these examples?
Well, the volume points get less for each person that you get in, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So there's little things in terms of anomalies in the marketing plan and the compensation plan that people don't utilize and activate through a lack of understanding. It's the same reason why people don't do what we do, because they're not bothered to learn.
Yeah, sure.
It's just as simple as that. So now if I had the choice, would I get you started for you on your own, by yourself, for 4,000 volume points, or you with 3 of your mates who are all qualifying to the same level, like supervisor. So then you've got 3 supervisors. So you qualify for less volume. You qualify with 3 of your other people that you actually want to go out there and, really change and make a change straight away. They're usually the people that really want to go for it as well. And you've done it for less than half of what you would have had to do by yourself.
Yep.
I love it. Yep.
Now, one of the things about supervisor lines that I don't truly understand with people is if I've got, let's take business out of it. Let's say you've got 4 customers that have been on an optimized program, absolutely love it, like love the stuff. Speezy, I want to be on this for the rest of my life, man. How do I get that? I tell you what you could do with 3 of your friends, you could get, a bunch of product for a great discount rate. So you can set these lines up, whether they're customer lines that go supervisor or business lines that go supervisor.
Yes.
The wonderful thing about, and this is one of the things I don't know why people get. Can you actually hear? It sounds like wood. Like I get a bit excited. I was actually really hitting myself then. We now have the ability to be able to get people to a higher discount level for their own product use, or a higher discount level if they want to do a bit of business and a bit of product use, or straight up business. Each one of those examples make the product the star. Each one of those examples make sure that we're actually ingesting what we're talking about. And each one of those examples benefits the person we're bringing in the most, which I believe is the best way to actually run any business. Making sure you're servicing the people the best possible way and bringing them in.
Yep.
And you feel less overwhelmed. When you're actually with company, it actually gives you a sense of surety that you don't normally get by yourself. I'm one of those people that use fear as a driving force. So when I saw 4,000 volume points, I'm like, great, that's actually going to make me act. Whereas other people use fear as something that stops them. Now we always have to make sure we cater for the people that's going to stop.
Okay, cool.
So the more people, the merrier. I'm also going to give you one other example of how you can qualify supervisor over 2 months. So I want you to write just somewhere next door or a new piece of paper. I want you to do 3 lines just for the example that we're going to be doing. Actually, no, let's do 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
Underneath each other.
Circles.
Yep, circles.
Yep.
Circle line, circle line.
Yep.
And I want you to put the month of April up the top of that line.
Okay.
Then I want you to write and draw 4 circles again next door to it. 1 underneath, 1 underneath, 1 underneath each other.
Yep.
And up the top, I want you to put May up the top of that line.
Cool. My circles are not real round.
That's all right. You're not going to be judged on the circles, mate.
Cool, man.
Okay, so now what I want you to do, let's just use those same names.
Sweet.
Let's use those same names. So you put Ben, Sam, Jason, and Dazza.
Yep.
In both circles, in both months.
Love it.
Cool.
Yep. Cool.
And once you've done that, what I want you to do is write 1,000 volume points in each one of the circles over both months.
Yep.
So if the example that I've given you now is an example of a 2-month qualification for supervisor. Now, these sorts of qualifications I think are really, really aimed at maybe that customer example that I gave.
Yep.
So they, might do 2 optimizers and get a couple of people on 2 optimizers the following month. So whatever the example is for you, it works. So once again, before the marketing plan was changed, you couldn't qualify like this over 2 months. Now we can. Now, so one of the things, let's go back. So just keep that aside for now. That's just something that it's important to note.
Yep.
With this example, and what people don't understand is there's a few different terms in terms of what we actually call our volume. There's PPV, which is personally purchased volume. That's what we've gone through our account. There's total volume, which is your personally purchased and any VIP customers. So I might give you a bit of an example of this because it might get a bit too complex. In terms of the supervisor line, what we might do, James, is we just we'll leave the supervised lines as they are now.
Let's stop it.
Probably just something that we can share, and then we might go into a bit more detail about all the other stuff. If you
Thanks.
want, we'll record that a little bit later on.